Welcome to our Take and Make activity as a part of the Imagine Your Story summer reading program. My name is Marianne Wright and I'm a 4-H area educator with Lincoln University Cooperative Extension. This is week 1 of the Caruthersville Public Library Summer Reading Program 2020, and this week has been all about fairy tales. We talked about fairy tales on Monday, and then yesterday we read a version of a classic fairy tale, and it was called Juanetta and the Cornstalk, and it was based on the fairy tale Jack and the Beanstalk. Today's activity is going to be themed after Jack and the Beanstalk, and it is entitled Beanstalk in the Clouds. So if you have registered for our summer reading program, I hope that you picked up your Take and Make activity pack from the Caruthersville Public Library. But if you didn't get one, you can go ahead and work with us today and see if you have all these supplies at your house. I will be posting this guide sheet also on the Pemiscot County 4-H page as well as the library reading program page. If you look at your Take and Make activity guide, you will see a list of all of the supplies that you need. The first supplies that are listed are the ones that are included in your kit. In your kit, you should have received a plastic cup, some cotton balls, a cutout of a castle, and a skewer. You will also find a bean. So we have included a lima bean, but any type of dry bean will work for this project. Other supplies that you will need from home are some water. So I have some water here in a little container. You will also want some markers or color pencils or crayons, something to color in your castle, and then some scissors to cut out your castle. So if we look at our guide sheet, it tells us step by step what to do, but that's also what this video is for, so we can work together to complete this Take and Make activity. Our first step says that we are going to begin by coloring our castle. So you have your castle here, and you can decide what colors you want to include on your castle and how you want to decorate this. I went ahead and colored mine ahead of time and cut it out. So that's going to be your next step, is just to cut around the edge of your castle. The next thing we are going to do is take our wooden skewer, and we are going to attach this on the back of our castle, and we are going to use the end that's not pointed to tape to the back. So hope you have some tape that you can grab from home, and you'll just need a small piece to use to secure your castle on the back of your skewer here. So when you're finished, you'll just have that on one side and then this on the other. Now we can set that aside, and now we're going to start to plant our bean. So we're going to take our plastic cup here, and if you don't have a plastic cup, you can also use a glass jar or anything. And we are using a clear cup because we want to see our bean grow. And that's another reason we are using cotton balls, because this is going to take the place of our soil. And it really makes sense for our story, Jack and the Beanstalk and Juanetta and the Cornstalk, because the stalks grow into the clouds. So these cotton balls are going to represent our clouds today. We want to get these cotton balls wet. So that's why we have our water here. So be careful and just kind of pour a little bit of water onto your cotton balls. Now you don't want them to be completely saturated, but you do want them to be pretty moist. Seeds like lots of moisture when they start growing, so we want to make sure that we're providing a good moist base for it. So I'm just sort of moving it around in my hands. If I still feel a large dry portion, I just added a little bit more water until it's very damp. But you don't really want to wring it out where it will be dripping, but it just needs to be completely moistened there. And I've put those wet cotton balls now into the bottom of my clear cup. My next step is to take my bean, and I'm going to place my bean in between my wet cotton balls and the side of my cup. Now again, this is because I want to see the growth. You could also plant this right in the middle of your wet cotton balls and that would work just as well. But we want to see as our bean begins to grow. So I'm just going to place them right there. Now if it looks like you need more cotton balls, don't be scared to add some more, because you want to make sure that your bean has a lot of room here. So I have one that I did earlier, and you see that I filled up about halfway full with cotton balls, so it has plenty of space there. The next step is to take my skewer, and I'm going to place it on the opposite side of where my bean is placed. That way it doesn't interfere at all with my bean, but my hope is for when my bean starts to grow that it will grow up and it will finally reach my castle up in the sky. And I planted this bean a few days ago, so it's been growing for a little less than 3 days, and I'm going to show you the progress on this bean. You'll see that you can actually see a little bit of green coming out of my bean, and that's only after 3 days. So I'm excited to see how much it's going to grow. But in order for our bean to really start growing, we need to make sure that it has water and that it is in a nice, warm, and sunny space. So the perfect location for this is in a windowsill that faces the sun for a large portion of the day. And that way it will get nice and warm and that bean will start to germinate. And what that means is inside it's actually acting like an embryo for it to really start growing. And so the germination stage doesn't take long for beans. That's why you already see it sort of splitting open and that green starting to pop out. My stem is already starting to show. So I hope that you complete this activity. This is a fun way to get introduced to a little agriculture project. And if you like today's project, I encourage you to look at the Pemiscot County 4-H Facebook page, because we are having our virtual summer camp and it is Agriculture and Nature Week. And so we are also doing other activities that are all about growing and ag and nature. So hop on over to those and you can also complete those activities. Thank you so much for joining me for our first week of the Imagine Your Story Summer Reading Program. I have enjoyed exploring fairy tales with you, and I can't wait for next week where we'll have a whole different type of imagined story that we talk about. So join us for Monday when we announce the theme for the week, and then again Tuesday when we read our story. Okay guys, have a magical week. Bye-bye.